Good morning, everyone, and Assalamualaikum, and welcome everyone to our session today, Empowering Women at Workplace, Practices to Achieve Gender Equality. Looks like it's a bright and sunny day outside there, and I hope to um, share some of our speakers' thoughts in today's session. Looks like we've got a nice room pack of people. Yeah, very good. Now, before we start off our session, may I invite Professor Kang to give some introduction to our session today, and then moving forward, we'll introduce the speakers, and we can start from there. Prof. Kang, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Hani, for that wonderful welcoming speech just now, an introduction. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending this particular webinar. This is the first of many series that we intend to do regarding what we call the Future of Work webinar. Hani had already said our topic this time around, our very first topic, is about gender equality. In reflection, we chose this topic because this month is the International Month for the Women. And being a feminist, I support equality for everyone. Okay, there it is. So I said it, I'm a feminist. Okay, equality for everyone. So we need to see how can we generate this and how can we make this equal for everyone at every workplace. Now, the future of work looks at the topics that are related to transformation, benefits, and challenges, particularly for the future of our work, and especially looking at that coming up, we will have Industrial Revolution 4.0. That is definitely going to change every bit of interaction that we will ever have. So that's the reason why we're having this webinar. Now, the focus of this webinar today is definitely not me. This is where I will silence myself once and for all. And I'll hand you over to our very, very capable compeer, Hani, okay, who will then introduce us to our speakers. But before I do that, I want to thank my entire team, okay, which includes Najwa as well as Doreen for all their work, and also not forgetting all our speakers today, as well as Hani, of course. So Hani, I promise you, I won't speak another word. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much. A little bit about this event has been covered by Prof. Kang. And the future of work, the webinar that we're going to run through today explores how the world of work is changing due to technology and the impact of Industrial Revolution 4.0, which was rightly so by Prof. Kang. Now, the thing is this, emerging technology is transforming the world of work, and one thing that remains universally similar is job security. Therefore, our panelists today, bringing with them, I would suppose, a couple of hundreds of years combined in terms of experience, will be sharing their thoughts in regards to this topic. Let me just introduce you to Sharin Dato Abdul Ghani, a dear friend of mine. We've known each other for quite a long while. She's a thinker, she's a change maker, a sustainability expert, talent specialist, and as well as co-founder at Sorga Innovation. Sorga Innovation is a boutique advisory firm specializing in human capital and talent strategies and solutions. Now, what is special about Sharin is this. Prior to founding Sorga Innovation, Sharin was the CEO of Talent Corp, yeah, a Malaysian government agency responsible for talent strategy and planning for the country. And while she was there, she was instrumental in the design and execution of our human capital strategy and action plan for the government and for the country. She's a strong advocate, and she's a strong advocate for anything digitalization. And this is where her expertise comes in today to share some of the thoughts about our topic. So welcome, Sharin. Very happy to see you today.
Thank you, Hani. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Next, we will introduce Dato Alia Karen, also a dear friend of mine, this dynamic lady. I have so much of respect about her. With 21 years with the MAA Medicare Charitable Foundation, she runs two charitable arms, the Heart Charity Fund and the Kidney Charity Fund. She has established 12 charity dialysis centers in 9 states in Malaysia, the founder of Blue Ribbon Project in 2013. It is a project to identify and reward outstanding achievement by nursing staff. It's like, wow. And she has raised millions and millions of funds for charitable causes. And currently, she is an entrepreneur, a consultant, an EXCO and advisory for a private hospital, director of ABA Resources, which runs wound management centers, founding chairperson of Health on World Foundation and advisor to the Tulip Movement Malaysia, both non-profit entities. Dato Alia, I honestly have no idea where you get all the energy to do all of this, but my goodness, the list is going on and on and on, but you've done some really wonderful work, and maybe those are the things that you'd like to share with us later today on your thoughts about the topic as well. Welcome, Dato Alia.
Thank you, Hani. Good morning and selamat pagi, everybody.
Thank you so much. And next we have Dr. Muguel Rasi, and I call her Dr. Muguel, also a dear friend of mine, a wonderful lady, a doctor for the past 2 decades. She calls herself a food doctor, yay. And she is also a menopause coach. Very interesting, yeah. She started her private practice 7 years ago, and about 2 years ago, she started an educational and empowerment platform called Aligned Life. Dr. Muguel believes that women need to overcome their midlife challenges so that they can enjoy the life of their dreams, happy, healthy, in harmony. And you know what? I'm always so ready to give her testimony about how she becoming a food doctor. I've experienced her. It's just wonderful. So all of you may want to ask her later on offline on what does it mean by being a food doctor and a menopause coach. Last but not least, we have Miss Shia Richie. I suppose a very special speaker among our speakers today, a real Gen Z. Yeah, Richie is a business owner called The Right Shop. She's been featured twice in Vulcan Post, and she had quite a number of experience in volunteering with non-profit environments such as I Am Your Entrepreneur Club, Isaac, Lean In, and others. Welcome, Richie.
Hello, everyone.
We look forward to hear some opinion and thoughts from Gen Z. Yeah, I look forward to. All right, good, cool. Now let's just for us to move on. Now the thing is, we have a few things moving on today. If I may invite Ms. Richie to share first, yeah, on your thoughts about what the future generation would like to see as a result of women's empowerment. What does it mean from the perspective of Gen Z when it comes to the meaning of women's empowerment? Is it an overrated thing, or how do you see it? Over to you, Richie.
Right. Thank you, Miss Hani. Right. So I think thanks, Miss Hani, for the introductions. Hello, everyone. My name is Richie. Also the VP of Pharmacy of SRC IMU. I think first of all, I have to say I really love the energy of this talk. Like every one of you here came for the sharing because all of us see the hope, right, and want to find the solution for this challenge. So I really appreciate, right, every one of you here who take your time out this morning and hope to see, hope to find the solutions. So I hope what I'm going to share today and what other speakers will share today can provide some insights on this topic. So back to what Ms. Hani said just now, what is the meaning on women empowerment in what Gen Z or the future generation thought, right? So maybe before I go into definition, I can give some my background so that it leads to what is the answer, right? So like what Miss Hani just say, I started working, 3 to 4 years back, right? I worked as a home tutor and also currently working in the startup. So working as a home tutor, right, it allowed me to see, how women is being treated in the home. And while working in the startup, dealing with corporates, engage with a lot of high profile people like Dato Nicole David, like Dato Bibi Yusof, or even Group CEO of Nando's, Mac Chong Ling, it allowed me to see, how women is being treated in the workplace. And of course, how women leader leads in the workplace. And one common trait that I found in all these women leaders are they are very confident, but at the same time, they are very humble. Yeah, it got me thinking, there are many women out there is being called bossy when leading the team, right? So I believe all these bias impact women day-to-day work experiences and ability to advance, and I believe all women are far more likely to experience everyday discrimination in the workplace. So as a young generation, as a Gen Z, what is my opinions on, towards empowerment and what we hope to see in the future? Maybe I'll put it in the meaning, right? So when we talk about women empowerment, do we ever thought of what is women empowerment is, right? What is empowerment here means, right? So maybe you can think about it, put in the chat box and let us know what is the definition for you on empowerment, right? But of course, there are many different kind of definitions out there of women empowerment. But for as a Gen Z, right, at least seeing from my point of view, I believe women empowerment is about respect. Yeah, respect is what the new generation is looking for in defining women empowerment and what we'd like to see in the future, right? So like besides like women support women or men support women, what we are looking for is both men and women investing their time and effort to understand and respect each other. Let me start with like the company point of view. I believe in the last 5 years, right, we have seen more women rise to the top level of company and increasing of number of companies seeing the value of having more women in leadership and proving that they can make a progress on gender diversity, which is a very important step in the right direction, right?
Yep.
But still, women is continue to be underrepresented at every level, right? To change the number, company needs to focus where the real problem is, and we often talk about the glass ceiling, right? To prevent a woman from reaching the senior level positions, right? But in reality, I believe the biggest obstacle that women face is much earlier in the pipeline, right? So I think for this reason, I believe the culture of work is equally important, right? All the employees, whether it's men or women, need to feel respected, that they have the equal opportunity to grow and advance. And employees do care deeply about opportunity and fairness, right? Not only for themselves, but for everyone. They want the system to be fair. So just like I talk about respect, is the new definitions that the new generations is looking in. Yes. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that there's a definition of empowerment that translates to respect. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Richie?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you think this will start earlier in the life of a person?
Sorry, do you mind to repeat?
Does it start? In your opinion, does it start way earlier? I mean, work environment is already towards a new start, but it may start from family, yeah.
Yeah.
On the
Definitely.
meaning of empowerment.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Maybe
right.
I can. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Maybe I can give an example is at least from my circle and for my generation, Gen Z, right? Gender equality or women empowerment is not a very serious issue that we are discussing about already, which is a good thing actually, because all the women empowerment that movement that is previously have done or the education have been given is making an impact now towards my generations. Yeah, yes.
Agree, agree, agree. I do have quite a number of other curiosities, I would say, that I have for you. Now let us just hear what the other speakers have to say first before I come back to you. Is that okay, Richie?
Yep, yep.
Okay, awesome. I would like to invite Sharin to give some thoughts about in terms of reflection of what Richie has to say. Can I invite you, Sharin, to share some thoughts about this? And I know that.
Hi.
My goodness. All right. So hi again, Sharin. Now there's a lot of stuff going on with Richie's thoughts over there. Now the thing is, I know that you worked quite a bit in the human capital, and there's a lot of things happening in the pipeline as well, and why the human capital team matters. Yeah. So I'd like to invite you to give some thoughts in reflection to what Richie has mentioned, in terms of empowerment and all that. There's a lot of culture
Yeah.
buzzword going on based on Richie's reflection. Care to share some thoughts about this?
Sure, happy to. Thank you, Richie, and thank you for opening up the discussion. I've already sort of posted what I meant, what I think women empowerment is, or empowerment is. It applies to all genders, men or women. You're right, honey. Culture plays a very, very important role, and culture is shaped even from birth at home, in the environment that we socialize in, and all the way to the workplace. So where, if we're going to look at how we advance women, whether in the workforce, whether as entrepreneurs, it's actually addressing some of the cultural norms that doesn't support the growth of women in the things that she wants to do, right? So in the time that I was in my previous role in Talent Corp, and even before that, we looked at this quite seriously, because for Malaysia, a lot of those who are in university and graduate for universities are close to 70% women. So this is data 2018, right? So we have a very big population of highly educated women. When they enter the workforce, these sort of very constricting cultural norms do not help them to grow. So sometimes when I talk to companies, or we look at policies, the point that we make is that okay, we need to support women, but here's the thing: look at the bigger picture. There's almost half of our human capital missing in the workforce. So if we don't address this, we're going to lose, a bunch of very talented women who contribute to the economy, who has a role. So when we break it down to say, look, we're losing half of our human capital, then the discussion becomes different. That's where you actually start addressing the cultural norm. If we say companies need to have good talent, countries need to have, highly qualified human capital, then, to address that, we need to do different things to allow and grow women in the workforce.
I have a curveball question for you, Sharin. Instead of the script, you know me, I'll always throw out all the curveball questions. Do you think by disrupting the culture, and in this sense, culture uh, um, uh, is addressing to the fact that the culture is being shaped by men and women, but in your opinion, where does it start? Is it from men, women, or it's just is? Because generally the woman wants to rise up, to board level or senior leadership. You yourself has proven the fact that it's very, very possible. There's no real glass ceiling, but that's my opinion. But what do you think? Who stops this? Who starts all this culture? And how can we do this?
I think we all perpetuate the culture that we are comfortable with, men and women. So what we need to do is challenge that, get out of our comfort zone, and I've done that many times. And if there are things that we feel is not going to support us as women, in the workforce, in businesses and all that, we need to speak up and continue to talk about this so that change happens. Otherwise, we get comfortable and then we slide back to, oh, okay, it's okay. We're doing all right. We can't do that. We have to recognize the achievements that we've made, but really
Mm,
push the boundaries. I have never
mm,
experienced a glass ceiling. I didn't even know what it
mm,
was
mm.
because I was very clear about what I wanted to achieve. I was very clear about the kind of skills and expertise I bring, but I know where the gaps are, and I improve myself, and I've been nurtured to a leadership role by really taking ownership of my own destiny. So we need to break culture norms. We need to question when we don't like certain things, push the boundaries. But for us as women, we need to actually then own our destiny.
That's tough, isn't it? Because in most times people are saying that, oh, it's the norm around here. We don't do such stuff, and all those things. So it's kind of tough to break the barrier, so to speak. I mean, for you, there's no glass ceiling because you did not experience it, and
Mm.
because you know exactly where you're going. But I
I've been
suppose
fortunate.
coming, and I suppose that listening to Richie's thoughts earlier, she is observing this still
Yep.
in the workplace, and it is, I'm sure this is very, very scary for her as well, because she is coming out into the workplace and all that. It's very, very scary. So I suppose you're right. We need to address it heads on and address it again and again, and make some actionable actions happen.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think there are a lot of other women leaders there who need to also play that very important role, because the
Absolutely.
pipeline is coming through. There are young people
Yes.
who are talented, who are great women,
Yep.
but women at the top or women somewhere in the middle that's already kind of crossed that bridge
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to actually then come back and like pull people up. And Dato Alia
Yes.
is a great example. I sit with
Absolutely.
her and have tea with her for an hour, and I get all sorts of great things to think about today, even today, right? So we need to do that for each other.
That's right. We have a comment here from one of our guests, Miss Nalini, and she said, "Wow, you're a strong lady, but in general, not everyone has this kind of attitude." I think rightly so. For all our speakers here, these are all strong women. These are all iconic women, and it's not everyone who has this kind of attitude. So where does that coming from? I would like to hear from Dato Alia right after this. Thanks, Sharin. I have a few things, and I'm going to come back to you just in a bit. But I would like to hear what Dato Alia has to say about, being strong lady, and the kind of attitude that a woman needs or wants to possess when you are in a certain environment. And I would like to welcome Dato Alia. Dato Alia, I know you have some thoughts about today's topic, and yes, and you've done a lot of work through social movement as well. Would you like to share some thoughts? Would you like to
Yeah,
share
I
the
thank
deck?
yeah, thanks, honey. I'm actually dying to go because I'm not very popular when it comes to women empowerment topic. Firstly, let me tell you why. Okay, because every time I leave, I'm always wondering. Every year after Women's Day, are you?
Yeah,
I tell everybody they're not going to invite me again, and guess what? They invite me again. Let me tell you why. Because I tend to call a spade a spade.
yep.
Okay, so let me be very blunt about this. Firstly, when we talk about women empowerment, my
Mm,
question is always, why do women need this empowerment?
mm,
Right?
mm,
Because you have it in you, you know your strengths, you know what you can do, you know what your talents are, right? Um, literally you are able to say, I can juggle or I can't, I can multitask or I can't. You know yourself. So what you need is not the empowerment from me. I'm no angel falling from heaven, or somebody who has a magic wand who says, here you go, get empowered. And people say, can you come and speak on women empowerment? And I'm thinking, why do you need me? Who am I to empower you? But the thing is this, I think what women need, whether they are from university students to, right up to the track of leaders today, everyone, even if you consider us strong leaders, what we need is we need that endorsement. We need that push. We need that friend. We need that mentor. We need that backup. We need something that says you're on the right track, go. And probably that's what Shireen is referring to that I gave her, right? So it's not about empowering Shireen because Shireen knows, more things than in digitalization or so many other areas of expertise, which I don't have. But you find what your strengths are and then move those strengths, and that's what you're empowering other people with. You're empowering them with the fact that, yes, I can do it. Yes, I think I need to move on. Thank you for the endorsement and things like that. So I think that for me, that's woman empowerment. It's about giving that support, that push, opening that door, being a mentor, being a friend, endorsing ideas, right? And promoting and not backstabbing each other, but rather being happy for other women. This is something that I've said all along. Now coming back to a glass ceiling, my question is, thank you for even to Richie for talking about glass ceiling. Now there are two ways. There are people who tell me there is a glass ceiling, and I'm not going to argue with you. You are probably in a situation or a place where there is a glass ceiling. So what I'm going to tell you is, women wear heels. Crack the damn glass. What's the problem? No issues. Just take your high heels and crack the glass and move forward.
Just whack it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So for people like me, I don't even see it as a glass ceiling simply because I know my values. I know what I bring to the table. Right. I'm an equal partner when I'm in a session, just as long as aside of a man. And I only take on things that where my comfort zone or my expertise lies. I don't go into meetings or try and be someone I'm not. So therefore, I don't need to have that glass ceiling because I'm confident in my own skin. I'm confident with my talent. I know what I want to do. So coming back to the question of, about people, some people are strong and some people are not. I think the first thing is identifying what your strengths are. Don't try and be someone else, and stop telling yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not somebody like somebody out there. Why would I want to compare myself with you, Hadi? Because I know I'm not going to win in your area of expertise. Why would I want to try and be a doctor and talk about menopause? I'm far away from that. I'm saying that because the session is recorded. Why would I want to talk about digitalization? I have no interest. I just want to have a cup of coffee with Shireen, right? So I think you need to identify where your strengths are. What can you do? What can you bring to the table?
Absolutely.
When you identify and you know that, automatically the confidence comes in.
I think there is always a fear somewhere. What do you think about this? I do a lot of career coaching as well, and most of them are women. And there's always the word fear. What if I do this and then I fill in the blank? Where do you think this fear comes from? The fear of leading a team, the fear of being recognized as somebody who's competent. There's always a fear.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from, you think?
Hadi, I think the fact is people tend to ask what if, instead of saying what if I don't, right? So if I don't lead a team, I'm not going to get the opportunity to move up the ladder, right? So we have our young friend here, Richie,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
don't take this opportunity of coming on today's platform with all these strong women, a little bit kan, nobody said so,
Yeah.
on behalf of everybody. So, right. So then you may not get the opportunity, but today she can walk out and say, guess what? I was on a platform with one doctor, one dato, one anak dato, and the best moderator in town. So I think it's about taking little opportunities. Start somewhere small. Don't try and do something so big. Of course, if you tell me I'm going to climb Mount Kinabalu tomorrow, I also got fear. But the fact is, I know I can't do it. So why do I go down roads which I know I cannot take?
Right. And these are all unrealistic fears. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So sometimes it
Amazing.
automatically comes and you don't push it aside. You entertain those fears.
Right on. You know, Dato, I know that you have all this years and years of experience, especially working in the environment that you're in. When you first started in this area or industry, do you ever remember what was your greatest fear?
Oh yes. Okay, I moved
You
from
actually fear something
yes,
before? My goodness, I can't imagine.
I do. So let me be very vulnerable and tell you, I come from a teaching background, went into corporate, right? Went into from teaching background, went into a government service for 4 years. So I was in the minister's office, mind you. Uh, then and writing speeches for opening ceremonies and things like that. And then I went into corporate, and then I landed into a non-profit. And my non-profit chairman and my patron are royalties. How can you not have fear? Kepala kena pancung ke, kena hantar balik negeri ke? So how can you not fear, not have fear? But the thing is, I think over the years, I learned to say, like what I shared just now. I
Mm,
tend to look at where my strengths are.
mm,
I as a trainer, I am very passionate about SWOT analysis because I've seen people change, me change, the people I do SWOT analysis, change. So
yep.
I look at where the strengths are and what confidence I need to bring with that strength in order for me to tackle the issues. Right. So that helps me to overcome the fear. And of course, I do my homework. This
Mm,
there's so many Women's International Day
mm, mm,
talks, right? So I
mm,
am prepared for every single one. As much as everyone thinks like, this one kacang putih for you. You said that.
mm.
This one is no, it's not, because everyone's got a different topic. Everyone's got a
Yep,
different agenda,
yep.
and the topic that you gave is different from the topic that I'm speaking next week. You're speaking with me next week.
Yes.
Irene is speaking with me next week, right? And I just spoke 3 days ago and moderated a session last week.
Mm,
Every single topic needs preparations.
absolutely, absolutely,
So go
absolutely.
prepared, and your 50% of your fear is gone. If you stumble, you make mistakes, you can practice all you want. That's part and parcel of the journey. So it's
Mm,
okay to make mistakes, not going to die. Just apologize.
mm.
That's why the word sorry was invented.
You're living a true life of calling a spade, Dato' Alia. And knowing you, you will do so until the end. I
So
have I have a question which is waiting in queue, but before we address that issue by Yubing, thanks, Dato Alia. It's really fiery. You're fired up. Everybody's morning, I hope. And there's a few questions that I have here with me for you on top of the question from our attendees here today. Now let's hear what Dr. Muguel has to say. So we've heard, from the Gen Z about how she has observed how women are being treated in the pipeline, and Sharon's thoughts and reflection and her experience in managing all this during her tenure and even now. And you, boom, like that. I want to hear something of a thought from Dr. Mughil. Now, Doc, I know that you're such you've created such great journey for the past few years, and paving the way in very niche areas, I would say, Dr. Mughil. And I would like to hear from you your thoughts about today's topic, but in your area, in the healthcare area, and how does this being impacted in as a family and as society as a whole? Care to share some thoughts about that? I believe you prepared some slides, yes?
No, that's okay. Forget about this one.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay. Yeah.
okay. Anyway, firstly, let me thank you, Honey, and I would say good morning to all because I didn't get a chance just now. I forgot to switch on my mute. So like what Dato Alia said, mistakes happen. So all you say is sorry and go ahead. This is what, we have to learn to do, right? Especially in technology now, things can happen. Yeah, and it was amazing listening to all of you. And firstly, about women empowerment, let me just address that. I too don't agree with empowerment because I think we are all empowered, but unfortunately, we have forgotten the power. We just forgotten that we have the power. Actually, this started about 5,000 years ago. Prof. Kang had asked a question just now, just to say, Aristotle is my favorite philosopher, but even he, in his book Politics, said women are powered to be controlled. So we better start now. So they started 5,000 years ago to play with our mind to make us feel not empowered. And we are going with that level. So we need to be awakened, maybe change the empowerment word to enlightenment or awakening or something like that. But it needs to be done because a lot of us are still living with the old thoughts, old belief system. And like Shireen said as well, women are dropping down over the pipeline. You can see that 70% of the health sector workers are women. But when you look at the policymakers and you look at the leadership level, it's less than 30%. So nothing, yeah. So people are dropping down. And when you talk about this glass ceiling, now I too don't believe there's a ceiling, but women have that ceiling in their head. It's not outside, it's inside of you. So you make choices to drop out because this is a very important one. Women are not allowed to be a woman, right? Over the years, we
By
had to
whom?
compete.
By
Yeah, we had to
whom?
compete. That's a good question. We had to compete in a world designed by men. I'm not saying dominated by men, okay? There's no domination going on. So many years ago, 100, 200 years ago, the world was designed this way because male wanted to, not with any particular interest, but they just thought this is the best way to do. But the problem is, despite all the failures and shortcomings of the system, we are not changing it. So women had to step into a man's role. See, how many of us appreciate the physiological changes that women go through, right? The pregnancy, the PMS, premenstrual syndrome, all these things are real. Menopause is real. Women are dropping out because they cannot, the system doesn't understand the physiological things that they're going through. So the glass ceiling is actually within. So, okay, I can't cope, I'm going to drop back. So even for me, right? So when I finished my 6 years of posting in all over Malaysia, they just keep pushing you all over the place. Finished, I wanted to do my MRCP. I went to UK. I got married there because my husband was a doctor in NHS. And I've applied for unpaid leave, right? Unpaid leave because I have my family. I'm just starting my family. I want some time off to sort things out. I'll come back. I want to come back as a specialist. 2 months later, I get a call. They said, we can't work out your unpaid leave. You can't get unpaid leave. So you have to leave the institution. You either leave the marriage institution or you leave the government institution, right? So I was put in that.
Am I hearing this right?
Yes. So they told me this, you either come in and join tomorrow or you give a resignation, 24 hours resignation. So it's literally saying, leave your marriage, come here, or leave us and go there, right? So married for 2 months, I made the decision to leave the government institution. I'm not sure if I would have done that now, but then being a young married mother, I did that. So you see, it was not supporting me. So I had to drop out. Yeah. So when I came back and I wanted to get back into the practice with the 2 young kids growing up, the system wasn't supporting me. It was not providing me the facility to work where I want or work according to my time. So I had literally no choice but to start my own practice because I didn't want to rot as a doctor.
You were cornered.
Yes. So, but again, from where I was, I had to make it. So I can break my ceiling from wherever I was, the system. So this is what got me into promoting this menopause coach, because women are coming back now after 40, 45, families settled, they want to come back to the workforce. Now, are we supporting it? The foreign countries like Switzerland and Finland, they have menopause policy where women are, they take this issue as serious, so they have fans, special fans to handle your hot flushes. They have toilets nearby so you can go and come. They understand your perimenopausal symptoms. They give you the coaching and the assistance. We do not have it. So like Ruchi said, their gender, their generation now, they are very aware of the women empowerment. They don't see the glass ceiling. But my question to Ruchi is, are you free to be physiologically the woman you are in your workplace?
That's a very a BAM question. You know what I'm saying? It's a curveball question. Dr. Muguel, that's a curveball question.
Oh, you're supposed
Anyone?
to ask me, right? Okay.
Yeah, but that's a curveball question, because you know it's not everyone who understands this physiology changes that takes place for female employees, for example, menstrual cramps, challenges during pregnancies, and they say, oh, you're just being a woman,
Yeah,
and it might
even
come from women as well.
childcare. Yeah, sorry to disturb. Even childcare, right? You're
Mm,
given 2 or 3 months, but what do you do with the baby after that? You can't just dump somewhere. You should have a nursery to support in your workplace. It's not possible. So women, at the end, it's man or woman. The women always make the decision, I will step back. So we are losing a lot of workforce that way because the system is not, no, this, it's a subtle discrimination, I would say.
that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. Right on. I'm just going back to a question here. Just a moment, let me see on the chat. Dato Alia, you make an excellent point that if you find someone who is gender biased, treating you differently, making remarks or belittling you, what are you doing with them? Dato Alia, is that a question to everyone? Is that an open question to everyone?
Yeah, I just want them to think, because I think there's so much of hype, noise. I would use the word noise and complaints
Mm,
of this. And
mm,
people who are not affected also, you keep, it's like a norm for you to say there's gender bias, there's gender inequality, they are
mm,
not being fair, etc., etc. So my question is, what are you doing about it? Why are we not
mm,
focusing on the many people? Okay, the
mm,
many men, probably a good example this morning will be Professor Kang himself, who's got two
mm,
ladies working with him. And he thanked them just now. So that tells you he's not practicing gender bias, and neither did he say, these two are my staff, these two are my assistants. And he called them the team. So there you go. I salute, right? So there are lots of people out there who are not practicing, but we keep harping on those who are practicing gender inequality or biasness, belittling, body shaming, all these kind of things, and then we continuously complain. So
mm,
I don't understand, why are you in that same
mm.
bandwagon with them or sitting under their fold? Like
Sure,
this.
sure. It's almost like giving them the voice, yeah, instead of putting them down and raising the positive voices.
Exactly. So move on and mix with the people who are not practicing gender bias or gender inequality, giving you some opportunities, opening doors, like what I said, or even like
Mm,
what Dr. Muguel just said,
mm,
having a supportive, a place for you, or being very, very supportive with your decision making sometimes, and that helps. There are people who do that. Yes, I
of
know
course.
people. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And there will always be people like that until the world ends, yeah, Dato' Alia.
Yes,
But
definitely.
don't give them voice. Don't give them
Yeah.
voice.
Divert, go find other people. It's
Yalah,
like,
yalah.
yeah, it's like complaining, my friend don't want to listen to me. Then why you keep talking to your friend? Go away, find another friend.
Said like a true you. I'm curious to hear something from Sharin now. Uh, Coming back, Sharin, I'm curious to hear um, on your thoughts. Let us go back to the topic that you addressed before, just before, yeah, in terms of workforce expectation shifts. There's a lot of expectations happening in the workforce. There's the income security, and this is for both male and female. So there's income security, for example, transparency at work in terms of communication, policies, and all that. And the biggest buzzword right now is the inclusion, yeah, equity. So these are all fundamental requirements, and companies now do have the owners to provide this kind of flexibility, opportunities, and meaning to workplace. So in your mind, and based on your opinion, what else can we do as a community to make this a common culture?
Mm, mm. I like that you mentioned the word equity. It's not equality that we're looking for,
Mm,
because men and women, we are never going to be equal. Women will have great qualities that men don't. Men have a
mm,
special qualities that women don't. So, rub out the word equality is
mm,
equity. That means we all deserve a fair share, a fair chance of that opportunity out there.
mm.
I also like the fact that we're addressing language and the way we use
Yes,
words that sometimes demeans the person, men or women, right?
yes.
So we have to, and I go back to Rechi's first
Mm,
point of respect. We have to learn how to respect people when we talk to them, and
mm,
especially for women, sometimes the men don't realize it. They use words that are quite disparaging, and
mm,
disparaging that really then challenge the women's confidence if she's not the type that speaks up, right? Because we live in a society where traditional norms are still very much ingrained. So if there's one point that I'd like to make across, is let's be careful about how we talk to each other. Use words that are positive. We talk about strength and then we talk about failure. So strength is positive, right? And then suddenly the failure creeps in. Then you mess up your mind when you think about, okay, do I, whatever, right? Focus on strength and move
mm,
forward, but recognize there will be things that will challenge you, but take it as a challenge that you want to address and move forward. I grew up being dyslexic. I'm still dyslexic. And for the longest time in my early education, I couldn't read. I couldn't make out the words, right? But I learned to cope with that because there are people around me who say, look, even in those days, people don't understand how to decode children with learning disabilities or different learning modes, right?
mm,
Help me to decode and use imagery. So that's why I use
mm,
slides, honey, when I speak, because the slides help me to pull together the thoughts. So
mm,
I've had to
mm,
overcome that. So people who have inherent sort of weaknesses, they overcome it and they become strong, and they move forward because of that particular weakness, right? I move forward, then I became better at reading and I write
mm.
really well. And everybody said, this girl is not going to go far because of all these issues that she had. And I'm brave enough to talk about that and tell you that this is what we went through. I went
Wow.
through, right? And people around me helped me. And we shouldn't be apologetic with the fact that we all come from a place where there are gaps because we are human, but we actually use that as a point of strength, and then we actually then talk about it because then we are confident in our own skin, like Dr. Alia says. I'm confident to talk about all my weaknesses, but hey, I have so many things to offer, right? I'll stop
I'm
there
so
because then the
inspired.
story will be sampai esok.
I know this is so inspiring. You know why? Because there are not many people who are willing to talk about the non-rosy and peachy parts. It's always about rosy and peachy, which is so not true. I mean, I've seen how Dato Alia previously in her environment, it was a tough environment. I do not know how you managed to pull through. Dato Alia, over our teh tarik and nasi lemak. I remember that.
Yes, true. 20, 22 years only, honey. 22 years only.
Oh, my goodness, that's raising a child, okay? And in between, she's doing all of this. She write books. She has time to design some year-end calendars and all these kind of books that she wants to give away. And I was asking her, so who have you been outsourcing all these things, all this there? She said, no, I just did it on my own. My goodness. Now, thanks, Sharon. That was very inspiring and enlightening. I would like, I wish that we have a little bit more time over to talk about this. Now, if there's any other question from our attendees here today, uh, please feel free to write them down, type it out in the chat box. I'll be very happy to um, read it out on behalf of you and share and address it with anyone from our speakers. So there you go. Use the chat box and just type out your questions or any thoughts that you'd like to have for our speakers.
Honey, can I just add? I think
Sure,
one
go
of the
ahead.
things that we need to also be very, very confident about comes from the fact that we continuously want to learn. We
Mm,
continuously want to gain new knowledge, and with knowledge, you become confident, right? So
mm,
I think even at whatever age, continuous learning, always understanding what's going on, challenging the
absolutely.
norms, we need to do that all the time. Because
Absolutely.
sometimes we put that in the back burner, we don't read articles, we don't challenge our mind. Then if people are ahead of you, you brought it on to yourself, right?
That's right. I mean, it's good to cruise, but not too long. 5 minutes is all you have. Dato Alia,
Yes.
I I have a question for you, and this is from the perspective of uh, as the founder to Health on World Foundation. So let's talk a little bit about the big picture first, and then I'm going to ask you this question in regards to domestic violence. And this topic has been hot for so many years. Now, under SDG 5, yeah, which talks about gender equality. That's what it says. SDG 5 talks about gender equality.
Correct.
And gender equality means particularly relevant to considerations for all genders and social movement.
Yes.
For the past 1 year, when we start off the pandemic, 18 March of last year, there are a lot of data that demonstrates there is an increase of domestic violence during the pandemic. So I'm shifting the topic a little bit more about the some of these unknown stories, right? So there's data that demonstrates there's an increased domestic violence during the pandemic.
Right.
What can you share with all of us here, the things that you've observed for the past 1 year and some when the pandemic has started? How open this thing to public, and have you observed anything like this in your experience?
Right. Thanks, Hani. Yeah, it doesn't run very far from the topic of empowerment as well, in
Mm,
today, and especially when you're talking about the working force, right? I think we need to understand a little bit here of a little bit of history, whereby when it started, none of us, which is tomorrow, is the first anniversary, right?
yes.
So, and coincidentally, I'm always the very lucky one. Sharin will also tell you that I mentioned this story to her. Pandemic starts, first day is my birthday. So, cannot go out jalan-jalan, cannot go eat cake, that kind of thing lah, So, of course, me being positive, I tell everybody, Agong's birthday give you 1 day off, Alia's birthday give you 2 weeks off, kan? Because everybody got 2 weeks.
Uh,
Then extend lagi 2 weeks and extended and extended. So now we face a problem with everybody trying to cope with working from home.
right.
Kids are at home, not going to school. Husband is not used to staying at home. So very obvious. And, missing drinking buddies, missing
Mm,
futsal, missing football, missing
mm,
gym, missing, right? Wives are also the same, missing her friends and things like that. Kids are going berserk because they are
mm,
not used to staying indoors. So it's not just a one-sided, it's the entire environment. So regardless whether it's a family which constitutes of a father, mother, and kids, or even if you are single and you're staying alone, imagine 4 walls. You don't have, there goes your coffee sessions, your movie nights, all these kind of things. So now everyone, and to make it worse, the pressure was put on to the public with people losing jobs,
Right.
right? And then you had a lot of people whose businesses had to close. A lot of people were going into depression. So everywhere you turn around, you hear negative news, right? So it came on like everything was pressured and pressurizing the situation, the people, the circumstances, companies. We were all going on sessions trying to be advocates, mediators between employers and employees, because employees were going berserk thinking, are you going to let me go? Employers, the same thing. And then women got worried because, oh, if they choose to cut employees, the woman will have to go first,
Absolutely.
right?
And that's a real fear.
Exactly. That was the fear that most of women were having. Because if they let go, they won't let go the man. Because the man, they know the man is the sole breadwinner, can be the sole breadwinner. But if you let go the man and keep the woman, good luck to that family when the woman goes home, right? Because the man's not going to take care of the kids and do a good job. Plus, don't forget, to be fair to the man, the woman will find fault. Shouldn't have put this on, cooked the wrong thing, forgot to take out this to talk. We all know that.
Laundry.
Exactly. Okay. White baju became pink when you went home. Biasalah tu. All right. So we all have this. Now coming back to violence, I must tell you some inside story. It was not just the men having issues and creating this domestic violence. It was also the other way around, where women were abusing their husbands and their kids.
My goodness.
Yes. So we had, because they had no place to vent, no frustrations. And when they did it, although the numbers are smaller, you see, when men are frustrated and we understand their story, what they do, they beat the woman, right? They pukul lah, basically. But when women, they don't beat the man because they know they're not going to win. So what do? They hug. The whole night they don't sleep. They watch all these, these movies and plan how to take revenge on the husband. We actually had cases of those. So we actually made a video. Yayasan Health on World made this video together with a good friend of ours, I think Honey knows, okay, with Wendy's production. And we actually said, and the worst part also during that time, neighbors, and today with social media, everyone is,
Right.
right? It didn't help because everyone was taking videos and sending out saying, my neighbor.
Instead of helping.
Then again, do they know how to help? Because some will be, batu api cucu, oh, it's about time you left your husband. So ada, right? And for the husbands, yes. And bear in mind, we also heard, I personally heard of friends who told me, cannot go and see girlfriend. So it's chaos 360 degrees. And then 31st of October came and the PDRM released statistics, which were very, very scary.
Yes, very scary.
Because you had 200 over men who committed suicide, mostly from Selangor, KL, and Johor, which are not rural, they are urban, right? So why are these youngsters in their 30s? And then you had Air Asia pilot and people like that.
That's right.
Suicide, people walking in front of cars. So the situation actually was very, very tense. It's actually something that, so we at Yayasan Health on World were trying to cope. And that is why we started to run programs, get people to come and talk, counseling sessions. And it's still going on till today. Till today, we are having counseling sessions for whether it's students, and we had workshops on emotional resilience, mental awareness, all these kind of things, right? So it is, I don't see this stopping, honey. Honestly, I don't see it stopping. Maybe it's slowing down a little bit, that people are now letting borders, crossing borders, letting go out, meeting up with friends, and more sessions. But I think there must be more avenues for people to talk about what's going on, how they feel, right? And it's time to talk about mental awareness. It's not about you going crazy, but it's talking about how to have a healthy mindset and being mentally healthy.
That's right.
As much as you think that we are tough, believe me, we all go through it, because even if I personally am not going through it, I'm listening to people going through it, and indirectly it affects me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is so real, yeah?
Reach out. My advice is reach out and talk to the right people, not the people who membawang. Okay, not that the people who are going to Membawang and carry your story, and before you know it, three other fellas know that yesterday you had a problem with so and so.
Yes.
But it's about time we all address the issue that we all need good friends, we all need a listening ear, we all need to talk. And for those of you on the other side, just listen. That's more than enough. No need to give a lot of answers and advice because you're not the experts. Just listen, and that's
Agree.
more than enough. Yeah.
Agree. And they say the best gift as a friend is to lend that ears and shoulder to cry on, and don't say anything. That's the best gift.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Panelists, I have a message here from Mr. Daniel Lee. And see where is this going with response to this. Mr. Daniel Lee, his question here, or maybe it's a statement. Do you think that the pandemic has helped put some cracks into the ceiling where everyone worked from home and the visibility of that is evident, and in bracket, not an excuse mothers cannot work. Men had to work from home and take care of the children who are home. Let me just share this into the chat box and see how it sounds like to our panelists.
Can I just jump in? And
Sure,
I'd
go
like
ahead.
to hear Rachel later because she's been quite
Yes,
silent.
yes.
The young
yes.
ones need to speak. Agreed. I think because we are in the pandemic, people are used to using technology, and I'm a technology proponent. Number one, because it empowers you in a very different way, right? You have technology, you are able to connect, you are still able to make a difference. These are for the groups who have access. The story of access is going to be another topic because there's a lot of people out there who don't have the means to even connect technology. We have to think about how we close that digital divide. But if you go on the track of using technology, working from home, the norms and the practices of traditional workplace has completely changed. People are getting comfortable that you don't need to be in front of your boss's face for you to do work, because the trust is there and you're building trust, right? Otherwise, in conventional situation, you need to see your team in front of you to know that they're working, but half of the time they're not. Let's be honest about that, right? so
Ouch.
it's true. We have to accept that. So with technology, it enables us. With technology, it allows us to challenge some of the conventional norms. And people now know that even if you're at work, at home, away from wherever, you can still be productive and meet your work commitments.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's hear something from Richie then. Richie, you've been awfully quiet, but after listening to Dr. Muguel, Sharin, Dato Alia, how do you see the workplace evolve to suit the next generation of women in your mind? I mean, you're at a time when there's a whole huge journey in front of you. What's your thought? How would workplace evolve to suit the next generation, i.e. you?
Yeah, maybe just a bit of the question that Daniel had posted, right? And just now, like Miss Sharin has said that the environment that in the house, right, is actually influenced. But I mean, from my personal point of view, I'm not sure. I don't have to answer whether it will crack into the ceiling, where everyone work from home. But I do think that environment did affect the mental health, like what Dr. Alia said, the mental health that the woman and the man in the home, which is something that we should look into it already. Yeah, but back to what Dr. Hani have said, what is the what I'm looking for in the workplace, how it evolved from in terms of women empowerment. Just now I posted a comment in the chat box. I say that, stop calling women to be empowered. I really love what Dr. Alia said, stop calling women to empower, instead take actions to fix inequality that start with recognizing the economic and political right of women. And of course, it starts with recognizing the powerful work that women are already doing. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's just because I mean, for myself, I don't really have much of work experience, but this is what I'm looking for in the future. The environment in the workplace can be, I don't know whether this is suitable to say, but
Yeah.
I think one thing that we miss out is about love. Love not towards,
Very interesting.
yeah, love towards not others, but toward yourself. This is how I talk about respect, right? And people ask how to, have this, how to start an action to cultivate it. I think it's love from the family, love to the society, and love toward yourself. If you love yourself, you have the value. You will stand firm on your rights, which is what Dr. Alia say. Stand firm on your rights, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
I
yourself
think
first.
yes. Yeah.
Love yourself first, and then you will see your true worth, and it builds that confidence, I suppose.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
After hearing all of this, experiences and thoughts and opinions, is it a scary world yet to you, Richie?
Not really. They were kind of positive in a way that a lot of people are aware about it. Yeah.
Absolutely. We need more positive environment around us, and we need to keep on talking about all the positivities. Let us all drown all the negativity, and just continue talking about positivity. That is a perfect segue, I would say, to Dr. Muguel. Dr. Muguel, I usually follow you on social media for the past couple of years since we know each other, and I like something that you wrote in your LinkedIn. You said, I made it my mission to help empower women in their midlife to rise above the health, social, and psychological challenges to find themselves and live the life of their dream, happy, healthy, in harmony. And I think that is such an inspiring statement coming from you, knowing you. If you can inspire us, please, with the meaning behind all these words of wisdom.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Annie. Before that, yeah, I have to agree with Ruchi about the self-care. So that's one of the things I'm trying to emphasize. I would like to call it women intelligence, but for the sake of the opposite sex not getting angry with us, we'll call it aligned intelligence. Basically, the three components is we have to get connected to the nurturer within. And whether you like it or not, when I say nurturer, the first thing which comes to your mind is always your mom or sister or your auntie, or it's usually a woman, right? And when I talk about nature, the first thing, I mean, all natures are referred to as woman, she, right? Even if a storm hits, you say she hit strong. And the volcano erupts, you say the volcano erupted. She erupted with ferocity. So it's always she, but we forget to nurture the nature. And that's why we are facing all this global warming and all the abuse and all the neglects, because we have to go back to the compassion, the empathy, and the self-care. And that's what I mean by self-care. You really have to go. Coming back to the question, honey, I had a very, very tumultuous perimenopause. And I'm not shy to say that. It was actually very challenging physically, mentally, because most of the time we will declare this as depression. I was going through something similar to a clinical depression, but being a doctor and knowing the definition, I refused to accept it. But I did the work. And this is what I realized. Every woman at 40 to 50 goes through this. It's quite normal, but 90% of women go through this. And this is when they, like what Shireen said, they drop off the pipeline. They are confused with themselves. They don't understand what's going on. And they have dreams and they have a lot of ambition. You speak to any of these women, they want to achieve something, but they do not know how to do that. And it's simple as just finding that inner you, connecting back. It's like self-care, the compassion and the empathy. Give yourself, understand that this is normal, and keep moving forward, because life starts after 45 for me. Seriously, a woman becomes a woman after 45. Prior to that, you are fulfilling all the requirement that society has put up on you: reproduction, creating babies, procreating, and all these things, right? Yeah. So after 45, when you hit menopause, you have to find yourself. So that's what drove me to go ahead in this mission, and working on it.
My goodness. Um, I'm kind of speechless to know the philosophy behind your statement. There is, wow. Any question from our attendees here today? Any question from our attendees here today? I think we have quite a number of chats happening. Very busy chat box there. Let us just go back. Let me just look through all those chatters.
Yeah. While you do that, honey, I just want to add a humor to the whole thing. What
Sure.
Alia said, right? When women suffer, they suffer very differently, right? So my husband is a heart surgeon. He used to say when cases come to you, right? If a man stabs a woman, the woman always survives. But when a woman stabs a man, the man definitely dies, because when the man stabs, and the woman is shorter than the man, right? So he stabs from up. So he usually misses the important organ. When a woman stabs, she stabs from down. Yeah, she'll hit straight the heart, and that's the end of it. So women can be dangerous when they are provoked too much. So be careful.
Ah, that sounds. Okay, so there is some chatter going on here from Nalani. And this is open to any of the panelists. From Nalani here, there's a question. She wants to find out, how are we going to empower the most of the women out there who are less fortunate? Anyone wants to take a try?
Me, I will take that on. Today it has changed. Situations, circumstances have changed, whereby I would say we are all on social media, right? Even if they are single mothers or they can't afford, the society that most of us would like to live in and be very proud of on the higher level of the economic scale. We do understand where they're coming from, whether they are the M40 or the B40 groups. What's good today, especially the last 1 year, we have evidence that a lot of these people have thrived through. They have pivoted, they have started small businesses, they have started from baking to cooking to packing to online businesses, right? So to sewing to many things, from even face masks and things like that.
Correct.
So when we talk about the people who are less fortunate, there is so much free things going on, even on whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook. There's a lot of free sessions. My encouragement, not just to this group of women, my encouragement is also to the students out there, right? Because I think students sometimes have this one track mind, like I am in the university, I'm studying this, so I'm very focused on this. Sadly, today, we need to be multitaskers in order to survive in today's society, in today's world. So you can't have this one track mind and say, I'm going to become a doctor, so everything that I follow is medical related. I'm sorry, but you're not going to fit into a society. So, because the society that you live in are not doctors. They are the people on the street, from the poor to the young, to the blue, to the yellow, to the green, to the Chinese, to the Indian, to the Malay, to the Machi, the side store. So how do you communicate with these people? Right? So there are lots of free things there, free sessions you will find, from mentoring sessions for students to free sessions. Tulips is carrying out the whole month free sessions, right? There are talks. Now, what you need to go and listen is, maybe for you the topic is not related, but for me the advice is, go and see how a moderator moderates, right? Go and see how a speaker answers questions. Look at the eloquent way, because even if you say you're going to be doctors, you're going to hold a platform and speak. After that, naik there, kelang kabut, cannot speak. So don't forget. So how do you actually do public speaking? How do you get the message across? Are you going to be as it is when you're talking about medical and finance, it's very boring topics. Unless you got a story like Dr. Muguel where you stab people, all then different. Right, but most of the time it's medical related, and you know it's very journal, very fact-finding driven base or
Yes.
statistical research. So when you listen to this and on these platforms and you find people and you say, ah, that's a good point. Oh, this is how it's done. Okay, this is a good moderator. No, we shouldn't do this. You learn, right? And you're exposed and you try it. So when we talk about empowering women in this, firstly, go on all these and pick yourself up. You can't sit behind a closed door and say nobody's coming to empower me. Pity me, poor me, I got no money. Gone are those days, gone. Right? Like Shireen says, you do about something about it. Otherwise, don't blame. Don't blame the society, don't blame the world, don't blame anybody. Okay, so take on whatever that comes your way. If you do follow, I think just a very quick story. There were two ladies. One was a single mother and one was somebody who lost a job. They started 18 March last year when the pandemic hit. One lost a job. In 1 month, they were starting to sell plants, little plants that they had. And, you know, from that, today, they ran a 5-day program, and I did the closing for them last week. I think, Hadi, you know who I'm talking about. Right? So they ran a 5-day program with all women, giving also opportunities to men to speak. But they ran this 5-day program, and now they are entrepreneurs. They even do online bazaars for every festival, and they do from cooking, home entrepreneur, homepreneurs, they call themselves, right? From baking to packing, and they give opportunities to so many women out there. So if you want opportunities like that, join some societies.
Yes.
Join some social enterprises, join the people who are doing non-profit work, and expose yourself and say, look, these are my strengths. Because these non-profits, these platforms, these social enterprises are free for you to go on board. Right? You don't need to pay a membership fee to join. So go there and start somewhere rather than, you know, waiting. So don't wait, go out there, join a lot of these social entrepreneurs and societies and platforms, be part of this community. Because today, if you look today and look at all the famous people in the world, whether you're talking about actors or actresses, from Matt Damon or Leonardo DiCaprio or whoever it is, right up to Malaysia, Tan Sri Vincent Tan and Jeffrey Cha and Ananda, everybody has foundations, everybody has these platforms giving opportunity back to the society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends on how bad you want it.
Yes.
So it's all about you and not anything external. It's all about you.
Yeah.
Rightly said so, Dato' Alia. So I'm just, thank you so much. So I'm just looking at time, managing time here. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have just a few minutes left. How about if I suggest us heading towards the wrap up by just sharing one or two things quickly around the table before we wrap up the session. If I can do that. And invite the panelists to share their thoughts as quick takeaways for today's attendees, if that is okay with all of you. Right on. So if I can invite Richie first. Richie, would you like to share one or two things?
Yep. I think thank you so much for everyone for coming to the sessions. I think it's a very amazing opportunity for me also to speak, to share my insight with all of you. I will just end my sharing, right about everything with just a quote from Madonna. He said that, I actually put in the chat box. He said that as women, we have to start appreciating our worth, our own worth and each other worth, and seek out strong women to befriend, to align yourself with, to learn from, to collaborate with, to be inspired by, to support, and to enter by. Yeah. Thank you.
Richie, from my generation to your generation, I'm surprised that you are actually quoting Madonna. I am totally impressed.
It's a very good quote that everyone should look at it. It's not about generation.
Yeah, right. But she's quoting Madonna. I'm half expecting her quoting somebody
Taylor Swift.
current, right? Yeah, Taylor Swift or something like that. But Madonna of all. Thank you
The
so much.
strong
That
woman,
was
yeah.
really, really lovely. May I next invite Sharin to share some thoughts?
Thanks, honey. Maybe just three things. We want to actually come to a point where we effect change, right? So I always think of it in this way. We have to change behaviors. So I used to work in an organization with investment bankers and all alpha males. When I walk into the room, I will take the first seat on the row and I will talk to people I don't know because the organization was big and it always happens to be a man. And I ask them certain questions and I gain their respect. So always change your behavior. Don't go to the last seat at the back. Girls always do that. Go to the front, speak to someone you don't know, share something that you can contribute. So that's behavior. Change language. If you don't like in the workplace, yeah, I'm going back in the workplace. If you don't like what people are saying, or even in university and all that, if you don't like what people are saying, men or women, correct them. Correct them in a nice way and say, look, you said this. I don't think it's right. It's kind of offensive. Can we change and speak in this manner? So change behavior, change language. The third is challenge. So always challenge the norm, always challenge status quo. Never be comfortable and say, okay, that's it. I don't want to do anything else. Because when you start to challenge, that's where you build your resilience mentally, emotionally, physiology, everything else, right? Because you're constantly feeding your brain and your soul with new things that you want to achieve and you want to challenge. So change behavior, change language, always challenge. Thank you.
Awesomeness. Thank you, Sharon. May I please invite Dr. Muguel? Thoughts, please.
Okay, I would say lead by example, be empowered before you empower anyone. And every woman should learn to be unapologetic of who she is.
Yay. I like that. I like that.
That's
Thanks, Doug. And last but not least, Dato Alia.
I'll pick up a little bit from what Sharin said, right, about change. Now, we all talk about the change. I would like to challenge each and every one of you to be that change. Don't just talk about the change, be that change. Take on the opportunities, explore what's out there, because we want equal opportunities. We fight for equal opportunities. We ask for equal opportunities, but we don't put ourselves there and say, look, I'm good for this. Can I do this? Can I try this position? Can I try to be a moderator? Can I try to give you, can I try to be the speaker? Can I try, right? So you're not giving yourself a chance by putting yourself out there and challenging yourself. The theme for this year for International Women's Day is choose to challenge.
Yes.
Right. So you choose to challenge and break the barriers. So choose to challenge means you challenge yourself. Don't challenge other people first. Challenge yourself. And do something different. Think out of the box, right? So we all say that, don't box in Singapore. But box meaning that if you have been doing 3 things, do 5 things. If you have been reading a book in a month, read 2 books in a month. So challenge yourself to make these changes. Go out there. If there is equal opportunity, look for them and put your hand up and say, I want to do it. Okay, so be that challenge, be that change, and please do it. And last but not least, for me is, I know most of you are available and capable, so don't do charity, but do humanity.
I love it. Thanks, Dato Alia. All right. It has been a truly, truly inspiring session for the morning. I hope it has filled up your cup for the day today, and keep on sharing the others of the positivities. Thank you again, IMU, to the team, our panelists, and our guests, all of our guests who make some time this morning. And Jean Ansao said, no cafe needed. This talk is all I need. And exactly so. So before we wrap up for the day, let us take the obligatory group picture so that we can share in our social media and feel rejuvenated throughout the day. And I'm very sure 1 year from now, Facebook will remind us that we have been sitting for an hour and a half to listen to all of these fantastic women, and we have been inspired by all of them today. So Najwa, can I get your help to do this?
Dua. Okay, we are
Okay, we have 2 pages.
gallery view. Can everyone put their video on so that we can take a nice photo of everyone?
Lovely.
Doreen, as usual, page 1, page 2. Okay,
Najwa, you are taking page 1 or page 2?
page 1.
Okay.
All right. How about the rest?
Let me just check. Okay, we're seeing some cameras popping up now. Brilliant.
Okay, 1 more minute.
Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Yes, ready. Okay. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1,
Okay.
3. Okay.
Next page.
Yep.
Everybody's looking good in their mask. My goodness.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again, and see you guys soon. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to stay for a bit. Thank you, Doug, Natalia. Stop recording.
Yes, okay. Just stop recording.